The Norwegian and Swedish mountains cover a huge area. The winters are very cold and it can be hard to find food. This is where the lemmings live. Little rodents that are perhaps the most important animals in the mountains, because they are food for lots of other animals. If we hadn't disturbed those two lemmings, in 3 weeks they could have had a litter of 8 to 10 babies. And when those young are 20 days old, they can mate and have babies of their own. So after a few generations, there could be 1,000 lemmings under the snow. Other years, like this one, there are almost no lemmings, and it's not easy to find someone to date. But what effect does this have on the other animals in the mountains? This is a wolverine. He's very strong and can kill animals that are much bigger than him. But if food is scarce, he will also eat small animals like lemmings. The raven also lives in the mountains. If it gets the chance, it steals eggs and takes the leftovers of dead animals. But a raven can also kill lemmings. It is difficult to know how many snowy owls there are because they move over such large areas. But in good lemming years, they can suddenly arrive in the mountains. The golden eagle is one of Scandinavia's biggest birds of prey. It can kill lambs, reindeer calves, and sick or injured animals, but it mostly eats birds, hares, and other mammals. Down in the den, under the snow, Tinde's with her 2 cubs that were born in the spring. The youngsters are hungry, but the only food in the den is roots, but the cubs want meat. When lots and lots of meat is available, Arctic foxes divide it into smaller pieces and hide it for later, but it doesn't look like Storm has done his share of the work. The lack of food means that the 2 youngsters must leave home. They have to leave anyway to find their own partners, so they may as well go now. Because Storm is busy doing his thing, Tinde heads off alone to find food. It is common for both Arctic fox parents to help with hunting, but this time there's not a lot to find. When there is lots of snow, lemmings dig a network of tunnels between their nests. In winter, with rain and wet snow, the lemmings move higher up the mountain to find colder and more stable snow. It isn't true that lemmings can die of anger, but they can actually die if they get very stressed. One little lemming is not much for a fox. Later in the day, Tinde finds a dead reindeer. When there aren't many lemmings or other rodents, animal carcasses are valuable for Arctic foxes. The mild winter has made the snow wet and heavy. One after another, the tunnels collapse. Our climate is changing, and the winters have got warmer. It doesn't look like this year will be a lemming year, and this is bad news for the animals that need lemmings to survive. Spring has arrived, but the mountains are still and quiet, and there are hardly any lemmings. Storm and Tinde had 3 cubs in the spring, but one was dead when it was born, and the other 2 are weak and hungry. They still have a little energy for play, and with some hard work, Storm and Tinde manage to find enough food for the cubs. A hungry golden eagle is a threat, and distracted cubs are easy prey for an eagle. Something a hungry wolverine can also make use of. In nature, there's no time to grieve. One cub fewer means it is easier to provide food for the family. Another spring, and finally the conditions are perfect for lots of lemmings and rodents in the mountains. There are now only about 300 adult Arctic foxes in total in Norway and Sweden. This isn't many, and several poor lemming years in a row mean that the number of Arctic foxes can decline rapidly. This is why we help the Arctic fox population to grow, so there will be enough of them to survive on their own, even if there sometimes isn't much food in the mountains.